Today's topic on Critical Insights: the rise of cybersecurity regulation for the energy sector. What are the most significant challenges that energy companies face in complying with the evolving state and federal cybersecurity regulations?
Goodness sakes, especially the energy sector. The electric sector's felt this for over 10 years, the growing and increase of cybersecurity standards in relation with the NERC CIP standards for the specific example. And those have been continuing to grow and get bigger and more onerous for utilities. But at the same time, we have this development of state level type of cybersecurity controls coming down to a different degree. And cybersecurity is such a hot topic, everyone wants to have their part into it, right? And maybe rightfully so, because it's jurisdictional, right? So NERC can only do so much to a certain level, and states have more rights. So those things are still being figured out. But the challenges for utilities are just keeping pace. That is a huge challenge, just to know what's coming. You don't want to be blindsided by some of this stuff because it's everywhere. And I got to tell you, it's 2024 right now. 2025, it's going to hit the fan. It is going to be big in state level requirements that are going to take utilities, to a different degree. A significant amount of new regulation to try to weed through and understand and interpret. It's going to be a challenge. You don't only have that challenge, but you also have the challenge of shortage of cybersecurity professionals. The talent is out there, but it's weak. Not that they don't know stuff, there's a lack of experience. There's just a lack of talented people that exist, but really understand the context of critical infrastructure, and especially the electric sector. What is OT? They don't get it, and it takes years to really get a feel for what that environment takes to secure, and what the pitfalls are, and what the gaps are, and how you manage through those issues. How do you remediate or mitigate where you can't necessarily use traditional security controls? So that cybersecurity talent is really a challenge. There's also a disconnect that is going to really a challenge for utilities. There is this set of standards and requirements that are being established. But like I said, with the cybersecurity talent, there's also an auditor talent component that's missing. That enforcement of those standards and regulations that are coming, it's challenging to find quality people that can really audit those to the right level, the balanced level of due diligence and assurance. And we're going to find that to be a challenge for utilities to deal with as we keep on building more and more regulation around cybersecurity. It's not only managing what am I supposed to be doing, it's also managing what they're telling you you're supposed to be doing or auditing you on. And often, we're even finding this in the CIP standards right now, that a lot of auditors are coming in and don't know how to audit. And they focus on, a particular requirement and totally miss the boat. And don't know what else to ask. Not saying that they're bad auditors, they just don't know the correct context. They don't know the right questions to ask. And that's not helping the sector at all. I know a lot of people go, hey, I got through my audit. They didn't even ask for any evidence. That's not good. You want them to be asking for evidence. You want them to be challenging you, because that's how you get better. You don't get better by having, I hate to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway, no offense, auditors, weak audits. You can't go around having weak audits. So that's a challenge for critical infrastructure as we build up these new standards and requirements that are coming their way.
How do or will state-level cybersecurity regulations interact with federal policies? And what does this mean for energy companies operating across multiple jurisdictions?
Yeah, this just kind of a bolt onto the challenges is that jurisdiction component of this. Who owns the responsibility for writing standards and for certain parts of your organization in the energy sector or the electric sector specifically? Who owns that? And if you're a particular utility, gas, oil, or electric, that has operations in multiple states and multiple areas, how does that work? We haven't figured it out. I guarantee you it's a conversation, but I don't think there's a solution yet. There may be some outlines and frameworks for solutions that I've heard about, but there really isn't anything that you can put your finger on right now. And that's going to be a real challenge for electric utilities to get through this. We have a very limited type of challenge in the electric sector where, they have jurisdictions of auditing groups, regions. Which region's going to audit this? Well, they did come up with a solution from an auditing perspective way back in the day for electric sectors where they have these multiple regional audits, and they work it out before they come and audit you, and they've got all those protocols in place for that. But that's federal, right? That's a federal component of this, going through the NERC-FERC type of standards. But what introduce state level distribution type of standards, regulations around cybersecurity? What if they're in conflict of what the SIP standards say? Or this state says do this and this state says do it differently. Or maybe it's the same thing, but they have different expectations for the outputs. And those are going to be huge challenges for electric utilities to work through. So if you're a state level legislator or a federal one, think about these things, please, because it's going to hit the fan when those standards and regulations start boiling up and actually being enforced. It's going to be a headache. And poor electric system. The utilities are not poor, but I feel for them, right? Because they almost all of them want to do the right thing. They really want to, but it's hard when you're getting beat up. You have 1,000 bees coming at you. Which one do you swat out of the way? If you're going to swat one away, or which one do you focus on? It's hard, and so I really feel for them that jurisdiction situation needs to be resolved. I don't have an answer. I'd love to participate in the discussion, though. If anybody wants to bring me on board, I'd love to do it because it's passionate for me, because I think this is the way we make a difference, because there is jurisdictional challenges where federal can go only so level, and we want our states to be able to look more at the localized type of things. But we need to have that balance, and we need to know the protocols and the connections. So I think that's an important aspect there.
In your view, what measures should energy sector companies prioritize to not only comply with these emerging regulations, but also to effectively enhance their cybersecurity posture?
Knowing that this is coming, and a lot of organizations have already started down this path, is to pick a cybersecurity framework. Pick one. I don't care which one it is. It really doesn't matter. For the electric energy sector in the United States, the NIST cybersecurity framework is probably the best one but it doesn't matter. Pick another one, pick ISO, pick anyone. It doesn't matter, but pick one and stick with it. I know a lot of people do all these fancy mappings all over the place. Well, this framework maps to this framework, which maps to these requirements, which maps to this. I'm telling you, don't spend a lot of time on that. Focus on what those frameworks are trying to do, and that's going to get you to 80%. It's the 80-20 rule, right? The other 20% is meeting the specifics of the regulations. There's no framework in the world that's going to tell you all those little nitty-gritty things that you have to do. It's going to be work that you have to do. So first, pick a framework. Don't focus on those mapping so much. Do a light mapping of some sort. Matter of fact, they're all out there anyway. Don't reinvent the wheel. Go find one on the internet. Do a search. You'll find it. And I think DOE has one that maps the NIST CSF to SIP and several other different frameworks. So that's done for you. But pick one and start working on those things and measure yourself constantly. That's the other thing. Regular assessments, continue those internal audits, hire external auditors, hire consultant firms like us. Listen to your auditors, talk to your auditors, talk to your regulators. It's okay to talk to them. They have things they can tell you. They have things they can't tell you too, but it's all part of the puzzle, right? And it's really important for you to focus on building from something. One problem I see a lot of organizations do is that at one level they pick a framework, and then the IT department picks a different one, and the OT department picks another one, and this group picks a different one. If you're an executive listening to this or somebody that has influence over multiple departments, stop that nonsense. Pick one cybersecurity framework for your whole organization and focus on that. That doesn't mean that IT type of frameworks or for operational purposes can't fit into that model, I know a lot of those frameworks that are made for IT and OT have cybersecurity components to it. That's fine, but your cybersecurity framework at the top level should be one framework. Really focus on that. That'll make a difference. Of course, ongoing security training. Your cybersecurity talent, you've got cybersecurity people, staff, you've got staff or IT people that have been tagged as your staff or OT people tagged as your cybersecurity staff. Invest in their education. You have to, you can't, and just know this. If you're listening to people that have money, budgetary responsibilities, cybersecurity training costs more than any other training out there. It's gonna cost more. You're not gonna get a $500 training that's worth its salt. It's just the way it is. It's supply and demand. It's like it's the hot thing. It's gonna cost more. If you go to SANS right now for NERC CIP training, it's gonna be almost $10,000. Do it with, Archer, it's going to be a little bit more, but we'll try to be less. Energy Sec is way up there too, and they're costly, but it costs money because the talent that's training you have invested in their own education, and they're sharing that education. So it's a trickle-down cost approach to that. But don't skimp on cybersecurity talent education. It's absolutely important. So make everybody aware of what you're doing in your organization in cybersecurity. That's your awareness component. Train your talent. Role-based training is great. Based on what their particular work is, focus their training on that work so they know how to go through the processes and procedures they're expected to do. And do those ongoing assessments. Take them seriously. Take risk assessment and threat and vulnerability assessment dead serious. You'll win. We're having some wonderful conversations here. We love sharing information to you through these critical insight videos, and it's not where it stops, obviously. As you're growing your programs, you're always inevitably going to have some need for some help. Here at Archer, we're here to help you. We've been doing this for over a decade. We are ready to assist you in anything related to these topics, and we look forward to talking to you in the near future. Give us a call.
If you need assistance protecting your critical infrastructure, reach out and contact Archer today.